All right, let's bring on our good friend Rick Beardsley, the four-time All-American, to talk some lacrosse. Rick, how are you today? Always great to chat with you.
Paulie, the talk while I was here was spectacular. And, I'm really excited to hear about the fudge.
Yeah, I was saying we had gift baskets in our hotel room at the Turning Stone this weekend for an event I was at, and there was a piece of fudge the size of my head, and I ate the whole thing like a slob. Like it was meant for a family, and I ate the whole thing.
Well, as Reggie Thorpe used to say, my old teammate and the associate head coach at Florida Women's, he's from Elbridge, so he used to say, if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly.
I was.
There you go.
I was a grotesque bear.
All right, Rick, let's talk some lacrosse. Before we get into the bracket and the NCAA tournament, let's look back on Friday, and things obviously did not go well in the semifinals against Duke. Do you think the long layoff played into that? Was it, Duke seeking revenge? I mean, what was the reason for why, things went the way they did on Friday night?
I think real quick, the first thing that just comes to mind was face-offs. Lost the first 6 face-offs, didn't have the ball for 4 minutes. Duke made a great adjustment. Syracuse kind of slapped them in the first game. So what adjustments do you really make? You're playing a chess match, and the team that lost has the advantage because they have to do something different, whereas the team that won, we all know, has to try and figure out maybe what to do. Do they stay consistent? And Syracuse, I don't think they were quite prepared for, McAdory going back on attack, which, stunned everyone. Duke in its history doesn't have, it really doesn't make many adjustments. It's Duke. It has a ton of talent, and they kind of flipped it a little bit. I think it caught Syracuse off a little bit, but also not having the ball the first 5 or 6 minutes, definitely, and falling behind, 7-1, I believe. You can't fall behind 7-1 to really anyone in Division I lacrosse and expect to win, or even in high school lacrosse. So I think that was the big thing that, that really was the difference, was the start. If Syracuse could get rid of the first quarter, I think everything would be okay.
Are you concerned about anything coming out of that one, Rick, or do you just chalk it up to, as you said, slow start, couldn't quite overcome it? They lost to a good team who was hungry and motivated. Again, anything concerning coming out of that game for you?
What's been concerning to me is actually the lack of Joey Spallina touching the ball in those big games. Sometimes he's been kind of left in the lurch a little bit, and he led the ACC in scoring. And you obviously know I have an affinity for the young man. I do love that kid. I also know that he led the ACC in scoring and was not an all-ACC pick. So I think that was a little bit of a slight on him. But I think he came into that game and had, 4 or 5 goals. That's my thing I worry about is, will Syracuse continue to, will teams catch up to what Syracuse is doing with 5 players, or are they going to get the 6th one involved? I think defensively, John Aderna has been all that's been built. Manhattan College, had a really gotten to the championship, losing to Sacred Heart in their conference tournament. I think what he's built and what he's doing are really great. I think, I just think that, we got to maybe change some things a little bit and go to some different guys every once in a while. But again, it's not concerning. You're a 3 seed. Let's all be happy, right? The 3 seed is a spectacular go at it here. The 2 seed's a little rougher of a go. So the 3 seed is a great seed for Syracuse. It's the right seed. And moving into the playoffs, they got some great matchups, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right, I'm going to slightly correct you on that. They actually got the 4 seed.
4 seed. My bad. You're right. I'm looking at it. Yeah, 4 seed's better than the 3 or 2.
Well, that's right. That's funny you should say that, because I was going to ask you that. You look at Hopkins' draw, and if form holds, they got to play
UVA. Who wants UVA?
Exactly. So I think we're in agreement on that. You think the 4 seed and their path to the Final Four potentially is better as the 4 seed than it would have been as the 3, yes?
I think it is. When I look at it with Denver here, Michigan. Now, Michigan is obviously the wild card. They won the Big Ten. They didn't just win it. They slapped some teams. They have enough talent. Can Michigan take it to that next level? Now, Denver's already proven. New coach, right? It's going to be a great game. Townsend's always been a nemesis the last couple of years in Syracuse. But I think Syracuse, is prepared for that. They're battle challenged. That Denver-Syracuse matchup is going to be incredible. They have a about, I think, the best. I had seen an early poll where they were 3. That's why I had it in my head. I apologize to the listeners. That's my mistake. And I thought, them playing Denver would be, ended up with Denver was a 6 or 7, I believe, and it flowed into their bracket. I think the fun matchup, though, guys, is if Albany can get past Sacred Heart with Jake Pisano, who's a local kid out of Liverpool, is probably the consensus defenseman of the year. I'd love to see him matched up against one of the Kavanaughs. That's going to be a classic matchup. But Syracuse has a great path, I think, to make it back to the Final Four. Obviously, some local guys on Syracuse, some local guys on Denver and Ettinger and Dan Anderson. So either way, we get a little bit of a local flair here getting into the Final Four.
You look at the tournament as a whole, you bring up, Notre Dame and their, first round matchup against either Albany or Sacred Heart. A lot of people look at Notre Dame as the clear cut favorite. And I get that. They've been number one pretty much all season long. Kind of handicap this thing for me, Rick. If you get either Notre Dame or the field, who are you taking and why?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Notre Dame has the intangible. Liam Entenmann, to me, is playing like a pro-level goalie. He gets into shooters' heads. Guys, go back and watch film and go watch all the games. He just makes shooters think, and that kid battles till the end. Liam Entenmann is really the big difference, I think, in what Notre Dame's path. Everybody talks about the Kavanaughs and their defense, and it's really Liam Entenmann, I think, who should be the Thornton Trophy winner as a goalie if they do indeed win a national title. But that's, it's kind of them versus the field. I think, matchup-wise, I think Syracuse matches up really well with Notre Dame. Obviously, they would fall into that bracket. So, we will soon see. Now, like we said, playing a guy a second time, the advantage is to the team that lost the first time when it comes to adjustments and trying to make changes. And then, Hopkins being a 3, everybody's upset because it's Hopkins. We're Syracuse guys. We don't ever want to see Hopkins, even in the tournament. But Hopkins, Lehigh is no slouch. I watched Lehigh change what it was doing against a really tough BU team. I watched that whole Patriot League championship yesterday up at Army, and St. Joseph's is certainly, if they get past Virginia, St. Joseph's is no slouch. Maryland, 7, very interesting. People have been a little upset about that one because they feel like a couple Ivies have been snuffed. And Duke is the complete wild card, guys. No one knows what Duke team's going to show up. If that same Duke team showed up against Notre Dame, that showed up against Syracuse, maybe yesterday's championship game or Saturday's championship game would have been very different.
All right, outside of Notre Dame, who would you pick to win the whole thing? Who do you think is the next best team or maybe next most dangerous team in the bracket?
Hold on. Is Ed Levine listening?
I don't know. Why?
Because if he is, I'm picking Syracuse because I want to stay on the radio forever. So, Ed, go Syracuse. No, I do think in my heart of hearts, Syracuse has enough to win it. That's a really tough question because it seems like Notre Dame and everyone else, if you want to go by on paper, the two teams I think have the best shot. It's Virginia and Duke. They just cause so many crazy matchups. It's like Virginia's been out of sorts since about the 5th game. And the same thing with Duke, except Duke kind of righted itself, we thought, against Syracuse on Friday, and then wronged itself once again on Saturday. So, on Thursday and Friday. So I don't really know. I can tell you, I think Virginia, Duke, Princeton's a wild card, guys. They're really good goalie, good defense, crazy good attack in midfield and attack you from all over. So many good teams. Penn State is a 9. Penn State was a preseason 4 or 3. And they still have the talent. So this field is freakishly loaded except for a few AQs. So I think it's anybody's game, but I do think Notre Dame ends up playing. I'm going to go with my heart and say I'm going to pray that Syracuse, Notre Dame in the Final Four, and then I want a Notre Dame national championship because obviously I love the coaching staff over there at Notre Dame and I love the way they play. So if it can't be Syracuse for me, it's Notre Dame, guys.
You surprised that the Ivy League was, treated the way it was by the committee? Princeton obviously gets in with the automatic, but, a team like Cornell, who's been in the top 10 much of the year, left out?
Well, I mean, they did certainly battle in that Syracuse game like no other. I've never seen a team not quit. But, like I always say to my Ivy League buddies, do we have to give you any more? You already make more money than all of us. I mean, why do we have to give you that more of an advantage? No, I do think Cornell was on the edge looking in. I think, the criteria of what the committee is doing, certainly Yale was right there. But Cornell had some bad stumbles. But it would have been great to see another Central New York team there. But let's be honest, guys, lacrosse is getting so good, it might be time to look at expanding the field and letting some other teams in and see how it floats out that way.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% in agreement there. Let's briefly talk about the ladies. They lose to Boston College. They end up with the 3 seed, which I think we were all expecting. It's Northwestern 1, BC 2, Syracuse 3. What do you think of their draw? And, I mean, is it inevitable, or are we going to see a BC-Syracuse semifinal?
Well, first of all, guys, you know who they have to get through, right? You know who they have to get through. Where's my daughter going to college? Stony Brook. So they got to get through the mighty Seawolves who took them down during the regular season. And that's right there in the Dome, which is incredible, right? Makes it more incredible for me. If Syracuse can get through Stony Brook, they should be right into the Final Four. I don't think that next round presents itself too terribly for them. I think it's going to be Hopkins, Yale, Hopkins with Ava Angelo, the local product, the 6-footer out of Fayetteville Manly's, who's having an incredible season. I watched that Hopkins Northwestern women's game. That semifinal was amazing. But I think Hopkins would be Hopkins-Syracuse in that quarterfinal round on May 16th. It's going to be a great game. If indeed Syracuse gets past the mighty Seawolves, guys. So, I mean, I can't lie to you there. This is one thing where now, even if Mr. Levine is listening, I got to go with the Seawolves here because my kid's going there. If I didn't, I'm going to get thrown out of my house, guys.
I totally understand. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Paulie did not ask you what you had for lunch, but before we go, Paulie, do you want to?
Sure. I was more. If you're on QSportsTalk.com, he's got glasses on.
He looks so studious.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
sophisticated.
Someone in the chat said Clark Kent, and I only could think Elvis Costello.
Okay,
well, dude, that's not a bad. He was a good singer. He wasn't like NWA, but to some he was. Yes, guys, I can see you. And the funny part is, Paulie, the 1.5 millimeter thing fell off, or whatever it is, the magnification fell off before I got on, because I have 15 pair of these things.
So they're readers?
They're readers only, and I do it so I can, dude, I stare at a computer screen so much. I did a scouting report for my daughter's county game today. I'm doing some more for my youngest Viviana, who plays tonight at Penfield. No, is it at Penfield for CNS JV? But what did I have for lunch, Paul? You'd be very proud of me. I ate in today once again because living in the state of New Jersey and obviously owning a house in Syracuse, New York, cost a lot of money. I did have a ribeye. I cooked myself a nice ribeye about 11 o'clock. And then it's senior night for my daughter Angela at Northern Highlands. So they're having a light dinner, which I won't eat. My wife Tori is on her way down. My father-in-law Pete DeSilvia, who is a legend, by the way, in Syracuse. He's not quite as a legend as Steve, because Steve obviously has hitting jump shots from everywhere, winning state titles. My father only played for the Cubs for 9 years.
Rick, it's always fun having you on. That's an early lunch, by the way, 11 a.m.
Yes, it's been that way lately. Yeah. I don't know why. And I mean, listen, guys, if you obviously, those that are looking at me, you could tell that I've obviously stuffed a donut or two in each of my cheeks. Since I've lived in New Jersey, Paulie, you got nothing on me when it comes to eating like that, because the food is so good here. I've been trying to just go straight up keto to be like you, Steve, be skinny. The biggest thing, listen, Paulie, isn't the best thing, people don't know this. If you look at Steve when he stands up, what's the biggest thing on his body? And it's not because he's so rich. What is it? What is it, Paulie? Tell me.
It's his wallet.
Oh, my God. He throws his hips off. He's got to go to a chiropractor because the wallet makes his hips all off. Steve, that's the widest thing. Why is it so big? Are those business cards?
Yeah, a lot of business cards.
Take them out.
I know.
I have a drawer at home in my liquor cabinet that I just throw everybody's business cards in.
It's a Costanza wallet. There's business cards, there's, credit cards.
You say you can't say no to a receipt either, right?
What? Please,
I've gotten
Steve.
better at that.
Please,
I've gotten
Steve.
better at that.
I kind of made Jordan, our producer, laugh the other day. I think it was him that was with me. I ordered Diet Coke, so the guy goes, "Do you want a receipt with that?" I go, "I can't return it. I don't want the receipt for it. I'm not bringing. Yeah, I just bought this. Here's my receipt."
Steve, can I ask you one question before I go?
Sure. Yeah.
Your dad, who is the ultimate OG, the man, okay, Mr. Infante, who's my G. Does he have a money clip?
He loves you too, by the way.
I know. Does he have a money clip? Because right now he's in Florida swinging some clubs, or is he home?
No, he's back in Syracuse. He's got a wallet, but his is way thinner than mine.
Because he only rocks black Amexes. He doesn't need any card except one.
There might be some truth to that. Rick, good stuff as always.
Guys.
Appreciate you coming on.
Go Syracuse.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Our good friend Rick Beardsley joining us here on the program. And with that, we'll hit a timeout. We're song bracket coming up next.
We're
and
Steve.
Alan Griffin at 1 o'clock.
We are on to the second round.
Finally. It's a big day.
We got a 1-9 matchup, I believe it is.
Can't wait. All right. Tune in next.
Are you going to admit on the air that somebody stopped you?
Somebody did stop me at the event on Saturday night, and he was talking worst song bracket. Said he loves the bit.
Thank you.
So at least there's one.
There's one person amused by this.
And that makes it worth it for you.
Yes.
I know. All right. Back after this.
Steve, hold on. You know how they say, if I can make one person smile, that's all that matters.
It
to
made
me.
your day.
My job here is done.